Hello, hello. Welcome back to Brainwash to Broke series with another amazing guest that changing the world is one of the person that I've been admiring really like since I started my entrepreneurship journey. She's the queen of social media. She is amazing, and I heard a bit of her story, and it's very, very similar to my. And this is like it's just very emotional and so on. But other than that, I'm super pumped to have her here. She's helping people with social media all over the social media, not just singular places, but pretty much everywhere. So I'm super pumped to have her here. Welcome to the show, Rachel Pedersen. Hello, Rachel.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited. And if we cry, we cry, but it is emotional. Oh.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. I love it. When
hmm
yeah, so for those, I'm pretty sure that most of my audience knows who you are because, like, who wouldn't? You are literally in every like in almost every social media. Everybody sees you. Everybody knows pretty much what you kind of do. But for those who don't, can you give us just a brief overview of your background? How did you get into entrepreneurship? And then we can jump into more specific questions and so on.
For sure. So we'll kind of skip like the full backstory, but basically growing up, my parents were in ministry. My dad was a pastor, my mom was a worship leader. And what that kind of left us with was we grew up below the poverty line. And when I say that, people are like, there's no way. Like, no. And I mean, when I was born, I was raised in a tiny, like, a basement, a tiny
Mm,
little like portion of a basement. That's where I grew up with well water, no fluoride, etc. My parents made like 11,000 a year. So it was straight up um just very different than how I think I would have chosen if I got to
mhm,
pick how the beginning would have started. And so um, it was kind of a tough upbringing. So when I turned 20, I was kind of on a I was on a self-destruction path for sure.
mhm.
I was kind of partying and just making lots of questionable decisions, living it up, to be honest. I love to party. I think it's fun. So but then suddenly like life kind of hit me in the face with a gift and a choice, and I found out I was pregnant and I was going to be a mom at 21 years old. And that was when I realized, oh, I can't keep partying. Now it's time to make decisions, or else you fall into the route of like defaulting in life.
Mhm.
It's the default path, and I didn't want that. So I went to school to become a hairstylist. I'm a trained professional. And while I was working as a hairstylist, and one of my favorite things was like selling product and extensions. I love extensions. I love product. It never felt like selling to me. To me, it was just this is what helps you get the look, the shine, like the gorgeous hair. And it was going really well. And then one day, out of the blue, I was pregnant with my second kid with my husband then. So this time I had a husband. And we can talk about him because he's amazing. But with my second kid, I suddenly was like, is there something else? Is there a
Mhm.
different path? Not just a default, this is the job I want to go into. Like, what do I actually want to build with my life? And I was learning a lot about like Shark Tank and marketing and social media. And a client sat in my chair and we just started talking about business. And I talked to her about social media and how I posted before and afters of hair. And then clients would come in because they're like, I want that. I want that transformation. I want extensions. Can you do my wedding updo? And she was like, can we hire you as our marketing consultant? We own a fast food franchise. They were the franchisor, and it
Mhm.
was fried chicken, Mrs. Winter's chicken and biscuits. It's a southeastern staple in the United States, or at least it
Yeah.
was once upon a time. And so that was my first client in marketing, and I jumped pretty fast to going fully into marketing. It was less than a year, Adam, and I was just like, there's something to this I love. I love words and stories and bringing
Uh,
things to life. And now we're here today. That was 12 years ago.
12 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
My
This is very interesting.
Yeah.
I think those 12 years ago, there wasn't really so many, people doing this. Like the social
Yeah.
media operative was new, right?
Yep.
So I think you've been really like when you jump into there, like into that, no AI, nothing of those, no, you have like literally only you being the
Mhm.
person that's bringing those, those stories and everything, like all of those strategies and so on. So it's really interesting, like how um how this turned up for you and literally become your something like your passion or something like that. So it's really powerful because when these days it's pretty much everything is like it's not really even real these days with AI and everything, like what is happening, right? Is like most of the people are just literally putting content out there just because
Getting
AI
views.
created it. So it's
Yeah.
not really authentic. Do you think that with your area of expertise and so on, how the market is gonna be evolving into the future with in this combination like AI and so on? Do you think that AIs will have um a bigger power over actually human interaction, being a human and being on social media, presenting yourself as a human?
Um, I think for a while, I do
Mm-hmm.
think for about probably the next 5 to 7 years. This is just my gut feeling. I don't
Mm-hmm.
have data to back this. It's just the
Mm-hmm.
trending kind of in and out of things I've seen. I think for the next probably 5 to 7 years, there will be a lot of AI content,
Mm-hmm.
but there's also going to be this like undercurrent of people
Mm-hmm.
searching for real. Like, have you ever picked up a book and you were like, this is AI? And you're
Mm.
like,
No,
you
no,
felt
not
it.
yet.
Not
I
yet?
haven't.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
the
not
worst
yet.
feeling. Like, I
Really.
picked up a book and I just was like, this just doesn't, it gave uncanny valley, that feeling
Mm-hmm.
of it doesn't quite feel human, and I'm missing something here.
Mm-hmm.
And that happened to me recently, and it makes me crave the
Mm-hmm.
weirdness of people. Like, you know how
Right.
do you think you're weird? I think I'm so weird. So weird, right? Like when I write how I want to write, people are like, "Is she okay? That's so unhinged," or like, "That's so moody," or way too specific.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Like that is going to be craved because
Mm-hmm.
it's the whole you can sense when something's just missing, and it's that humanness. And one thing I do think that AI will help to it will help people to express things, but they're missing the step of knowing why their voice is their voice. Why is your voice
Mm-hmm.
like that? Like, when do you talk like that? What's the nuance in who you are?
Mm-hmm.
So, when I like allow my weirdness to show, because I'll do like 7 exclamation points in a row sometimes, and sometimes I'll just be really dark and I'm like, I'm in a mood. And I write those two, which according to business 101 is not what you're supposed to do for even.
Well, yeah.
So, and that's when I connect most deeply with people, when I'm not following the playbook.
Mm-hmm.
So what I actually think AI is doing, and I'm so excited about this, is it's throwing the rule book out the window and making us say,
Ooh.
how do you actually write how you talk? Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
so true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you, when I reach out to you,
Hmm.
I don't know how many reach outs you get, like during the days or so
Huh?
on, like interview, invites on podcasts and so on. But I'm testing a lot. I'm always like, I love testing stuff.
Mhm.
And it was really interesting because I haven't even expected you would reply and like literally get on the show. So
Mhm.
I think because like most of the people at these days they just use AI for everything. Like
Mhm.
literally, they just like
Yeah.
for reach outs everything. It seems like I'm getting lots of messages
Yes.
also. Like when once I started like growing my social media and so on, and being able to hit those
Mhm.
50,000 or whatever. But literally I'm getting like also like like about 20 people reaching out, and it seems like completely the same all the time, and they are
Yeah.
not even trying to be genuine. They just straight away pitching, for example, and it's like freaking
Mhm.
annoying,
Yes.
right? And like I'm not even watching them anymore. Like I'm leaving them in a spam, and then just sometimes like watching some like if they have, for example, check mark or something, like figuring out if they actually even are legit or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you are 100% right with, that people will like try for the human weirdness.
Yes.
And that's so important these days to actually understand because, when that's why we are here and talking about, brainwashing,
Yep.
what is actually happening in the world, because like this is new programming that is actually happening, in my opinion, with
Yep.
AI and so on.
I agree. You have to be very, very careful. So with I actually don't mind if people use tools that work.
Hmm.
But if it feels like a tool, it
Hmm.
feels weird. It's
Yeah.
kind of like, have you ever, so sometimes we get promotional packages every week at our PO box, but sometimes we'll get a promotional package where I'm like, oh, they cared. Like they heard that I loved this book or whatever. And I'm just like so blown away that any message they send me moving forward, I'm like, yes, I love you. Thank you so much for being a human. I don't expect that that person actually went and picked out each of the items and put it into the basket and shipped it at FedEx to me. I don't think
Hmm.
that. I love tools. I love software. I love things that help us to do things more effectively. But if someone were to send me, I'm trying to think of a really good example of something I absolutely hate. Oh, I've got one. I hate crunchy food. I hate really crunchy food with a passion. I
Hmm.
think it should be illegal. I'm just kidding. I
That's
hate
interesting.
so like don't vote for me for president. But she's so the thing is because I grew up with really bad like dental hygiene and situation, my teeth were so sensitive all growing up. All my teeth are fake,
Mhm.
100%. But I still have that like mental imprint of crunchy foods. And I've made it public many times that I hate crunchy foods. So if someone sends me like the crunchiest pretzels, I'd be like, why did you send this to me? Like, you don't know me. Or if they sent me, let's say, something, you know what I mean? It's just like, so
Yeah, yeah.
with I don't mind it. But the thing is, are you sure that you put in the right inputs or that you
Mhm,
have the right information or that you know the person? When it comes to books, I don't like AI. I don't mind it if it's a back end early stage tool for figuring out a wireframe or mapping out an act, but I do not like it for the actual
mhm,
writing. But
mhm,
in marketing, just make sure you know the difference between
mhm,
AI generated for you versus, no, this is my voice, this is my homework,
mhm.
this is my relationship with that person.
Yeah, yeah. Do you use AI in your business and for your clients?
I use it more for my business than for clients and mostly for testing. I just actually wrote a really cool email about this because
Mhm,
I wanted to test. Now, here's another thing I want to share as well about AI. So, my hands ache. We have not figured out why, but I have really achy hands. It's probably related to like a rheumatoid arthritis or something, but my hands hit this like I hit a cap each day and I
mhm,
just want to keep typing because I love writing more than anything.
mhm,
And
mhm,
there's a point where my hands say, we're done. And so I wanted to test, can AI outperform my stuff? So I sat
Mhm.
down and I obviously manually wrote an entire carousel about my interview with Chris Voss, the FBI negotiator, the hostage negotiator. I wrote the whole post. Then, about a week later, I think, we released the same carousel, but completely generated by AI. And we had AI try to outperform mine, and it
Mhm.
drastically failed. Then we tried it again with new inputs, more advanced everything, still drastically failed. So it's interesting. There are points where we use AI, but it's not where people would expect. It's more in the process
Mhm.
of our frameworks because I haven't loved all of the outputs and the results that they get.
Mhm.
If
Mhm.
they ever outperform manually written things consistently, I would consider it as a leverage layer, but
Mhm.
not as the main like
Yep.
dish.
Yep. Have you
Yep.
tried to like literally train it on your stuff, like on your framework and so on, and it still didn't work well?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Let me rephrase that. For
Can you?
most people would have been thrilled with the results of the AI produced ones.
Mhm.
So for the average like solopreneur, freelancer, business owner, like if that helps you get it out there, then do it. That's
Yep.
better
Yep.
than nothing. Um, for my when I was able to compare apples to oranges like this, I was like,
Yep.
it
Yep.
is such a drastic difference when I manually write it all. But realistically, Adam, like the founders can't realistically write it all forever. It doesn't
Yep.
work like that. So
Yep. Yep.
I'm always open to tools if it makes sense. And so
Yeah.
far, it hasn't as much as I would like it to.
Yeah.
So,
No, no, no.
yeah.
I'm just like really curious
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
my growth on my social media is
Hmm.
just basically pretty much only AI. And
Yeah.
I build the systems, give it to my VA, and my VA literally run it for my own, like on her own, only one person doing it. And that's it. Like
Love that.
literally it's grow and it's been growing like about 300 to some days even 1000 followers a day,
That's amazing. Keep
right?
doing it.
But it was literally by testing and
Keep doing it.
reiterating and so on.
Yes. One thing that I think is hard for me is I do iterate so fast for social,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I have to. And this is an interesting thing. Anytime, and this is not to sound like ego at all, but anytime I do like a unique style and it
Hmm.
performs, or now we're doing, like every night we do one meme, and I love my memes every night. I pick them out, I obsess over them. The memes are very important to me, not just for strategy, for fun
Yep.
too.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And as soon as we do something, within about 3 months, enough other people are replicating it that I
Mm.
can't continue to stay in the same lane
Oof.
for very long. I
Yep.
know.
Hmm.
I picked the best and the worst industry for consistency because you have to iterate again and again and again.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I don't hate it. It's fine. It keeps me moving. But there's
I,
nothing that we
yeah.
have ever gotten AI to produce that has been replicable through the iterations. We
Right.
have to
It
like
makes sense. Yeah.
completely
I think
reinvent.
even your audience would be like they are more, they are used to your content and who you are, like how you present yourself and so on, because like you are transparent completely. You are literally like who you are, and that's perfect. And I love it so much because it's like, you know, it would be great to have more those type of people there, right?
Yeah.
Just because then they showing us what is actually possible, like that you don't have to have any of those, facades basically or so on to
Yep.
to haul and be like scared to show up who you really are and so on.
Yes.
So I think this is really important, and even these days, like when it comes to this whole automating processes are happening with AI and so on. Like in my opinion, like they will be some stuff that's gonna be automated and so like with AI for 100%, but um I think like still it still will have to be managed by humans,
Yes.
and I still when I do and make, for example, buying decision, I still looking for the human connection than
Yeah.
actually talking to something like that. Like
Yeah. One thing I
mm,
want to be clear on for this too, because Okay, so somebody said I was like super anti-AI, and I was like, no, I'm not actually anti-AI at all. Like I think it can be great. Your
Mhm,
example of how you've grown with it, you understood a few things really well to be able to program it right in a
mhm,
sustainable way.
mhm.
So I'm not anti-AI at all. I'm just whenever someone is building and they haven't slowed down to understand their audience or listen to people, I'm like, don't outsource your heart or your brain or
Oh yeah.
your voice until you know it.
Hmm.
And it's interesting because I mean, I haven't shared this before. I
Hmm.
do expect over the next 10 years, we will have more AI in our business, but not on the content side.
Uh-huh.
I do expect that to happen because I need my hands free for typing for other things. And my husband and I at night, we write fiction. So we have 53,000 words done in our high fantasy fiction novel. It has an invented world, an invented magic system, and an invented language called Lyresian. And it is like, it's our passion. And I want to know where my passion is and follow that. So if there are parts of our business we can outsource with AI, let's do it. For me, it's not the content. I actually have so much fun there. I love playing in content.
That's awesome. I love it. Yeah. Oh my God,
Yeah.
that's so amazing. Yeah,
Well, thanks.
when we talk about, passion and everything like around it, like
Mhm.
it feels or it seems to me that you are like really, passionate about writing and those things. Where did
Yeah.
this come from? How it was it from the beginning,
Mhm.
or how did you discover it on the way of the entrepreneurship?
You are the first person to ever ask me that, and thank you. Like, okay, so I loved writing as a kid. Um, I don't go a ton into the situations that led me to become very internal with my imagination. But there was just a lot of time for me to imagine worlds and worlds that were different from the world I was in. That's a nice way of putting it. So I straight up just started writing from the time I was 5. And I was an avid reader at 3. We didn't have many books, so like my grandparents would take me to the library and I would get 30 books every 2 weeks and just plow through them all. Sometimes I would convince them to let me get 60 books so that I could read 60 books in 2 weeks and then we bring them back. Like the library was my mecca.
That's interesting. Holy
Yeah.
smokes. Okay.
Yeah. So, and then as I got older, and then I'll go to writing, as I got older, there were books people gave my parents that I don't think they read, but because if they did, things would have been different.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Sorry. Love you guys. Love you guys. But
Ah.
so the thing that was interesting is those books just they propelled me forward. And then it was actually when I was in oh the books were, by the way, Tony Robbins. I think it was
Mhm.
Master the Money Game. There was Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and then a few more. I think there was like a Dave Ramsey book and a few more. And I read those when I was like in elementary school because I just
Ooh,
wanted to
okay.
read. And it didn't quite connect, but I feel like the seeds were planted then that there was a different possibility. And then with writing, it was first really noted when I was in 5th grade. I got scholarship to a private school, and I had a great teacher. Her name was Mrs. Cox, just a saint of a person. And she gave us an assignment where she's like, I want you to write a 2-page story about like an imaginary world. And I wrote this
Uh-huh.
entire 26-page story about this newlywed couple, and the girl drowned on their honeymoon and she was still singing from the bottom of the lake and her magic could bring sirens, and it was like wild. And she stopped grading it after page 6. She was like A plus plus, like you're good, don't worry about that. And then writing has just always been something I can't help. We
Mhm.
recently estimated from my emails, my content, and then the books that we write that I write about 2 to 3 million words a year without AI.
That's
Isn't that wild? It's my favorite thing to do, though.
that's wild. Yeah, that's wild. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
You write like
Where are
for
those people? Like they should, all of them should listen to this because, these days we have so much more advantage, like when it comes to,
yeah.
writing and so on. Like, before you, like when you started, you have to literally write everything yourself, and you will keep doing it, but it's like
Mhm.
who you are. So
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is really powerful, when it comes to that. Don't you feel sometimes that it's not like I don't think that you feel because like if it's your passion, it's like you are fully present at that time, in that moment when you're writing and so on, you love it.
Hmm.
But don't you sometimes have these thoughts that oh maybe AI can make it faster, like speed it up the process and being able to produce even more and so on, for example?
For sure. And I've even sure. Okay, so this is kind of wild because when I first got back into fiction writing, I thought the end result was what I cared most about. And I was it was about 3 years ago, like right after my dad died, and I had my online, very public breakdown and stuff. It was just like a series of moments that created a need to come back.
Hmm.
And I was kind of like, I feel like I'm rebuilding. This is all awkward. I'm going through
Hmm.
grief. People have a lot of opinions of me for sure. Some deserved, I get it. Like, and so I was like, well, maybe I'll write a fiction book. So I tried writing a fiction book with AI, and I hated everything about it. And
Oh,
it
yeah.
was because it wasn't about the end result, it's the process.
Ooh,
So,
okay.
yeah, yes,
Okay.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
I get
yes.
it.
It
Yeah.
is the process that
Mm-hmm.
transforms us, not the end
Mm-hmm.
result or the win.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
I know that
Mm,
when we told, writing and so on, I know that you wrote a book too, or I don't know
mhm.
if it's just the only one that you wrote or you have more of them, but the most recent one or the one that I
Mhm.
know about is the
Yeah.
Unfiltered, right?
Mhm.
What prompts you to actually wrote this book?
Oh man. So unfiltered. Okay, let's see. So I was about to turn 30. This is actually wild. I don't mean to name drop, but it's inevitable. Paul and I were staying at Russell Brunson's house with Colette and Russell. We're having amazing conversations. I'm almost 30. It's right before the pandemic or during, I think. Right before, I think. And Russell looks at me. We're all just hanging out in the kitchen, and he's like, he said something like, why haven't you written a book yet? People want a
Mm,
book from you. And I was like, take on it, Russell. You're like the 10th person to tell me that, and I've been avoiding that.
mm,
And he's like, no, I really think you should write a book because like people like your words. Like you need to do this. And I was like, okay, it's been a dream of mine. I've just been avoiding the scary dream. I'm doing all the other things. Books feel very vulnerable. And then I was like, how? How do I do this? And he's like, just write 500 words a day. And then by your 30th birthday, you'll have the manuscript done. So we calculated it. And I was like, okay, deal. Tell you what, I promise you by April 1st, I'll have my manuscript done and then I'll box you and tell you when it's done. And he's like, while you do that, and this is a big tip for anyone who wants to write, he goes, make sure you drop breadcrumbs to everyone almost every day that you're writing a book. Start building
mm,
the
mhm.
interest through the process, even if it takes years for it to like launch. And I was like, okay, so I'll do that. Very, very wise, sage advice. Russell's always on it. He's so great. And then I just started posting like stories or occasionally being like, I'm an author. Did anyone hear that? Like, I was so nervous, even though that's like my truest identity. And so I got a message, a DM on Instagram from an executive at one of the big five publishing houses. And they said, could we please get first dibs on your manuscript? And I was like, oh my gosh. So I just want to say this. When people say, I don't know how it's all going to work out, you don't need to know how it's all going to work out. Just trust and keep walking forward. So I voxed Russell. I was like, okay, my manuscript's done. I almost said the publisher. The big five publishers reaching out, this worked. And Russell said, actually, I think you should be with Hay House. I'll introduce you to the CEO. He introduced me to the CEO of Hay House, Reed Tracy, wonderful person. Hay House is incredible. And one big thing that they helped me to identify was that at that point, the way that I had been writing for so long was for social. And so they said, we want to bring in more of an academic, so someone from Harvard who can actually come in as a collaborative writer to make sure that this book is set up in the way that people expect books to be. And so we did the
Ooh,
collaborative process together. I'm talking 1 to 5 meetings a week for hours, voice messages, back and forth, approvals, edits,
wow.
tweaks. It did get on the
That's
USA Today
powerful. Yeah. I
bestsellers
don't
list.
think that, anybody can see this, like
Yeah,
nobody can see this. This
no,
is powerful because like I have multiple people, multiple friends that they've been trying to write their book or they've wrote
yeah,
their book but didn't land it pretty much. And do you
yes.
think it's like one of the reasons why books are going so successfully like sold over and over again when you have like somebody looking at like, over your shoulders to actually have the book's structure and everything done
Yeah.
properly?
To some extent,
Uh-huh.
yes. Okay, so I have a lot of thoughts about this.
Okay,
So
okay.
because it was my first published book, and do you follow like Joseph Campbell's Hero's Journey? The
Mm,
Hero's Journey.
Heroes to Journeys. Or I know, like,
Yep.
yeah, I
Yep.
know about. I know. I studied from Russell like pretty much everything what I
And
could find, so I know what is going on there. Yeah, for 100%.
so, in the original journey, the hero's journey from Joseph Campbell, there's always, I think it's at step 6 or 7,
Hmm.
you find yourself at the mouth of a cave.
Yeah,
Inside of
yeah.
that cave is everything you desire. But unfortunately, to get everything you desire, you have to face what you fear most. And really, actually doubling down on my passion, my number one passion of writing was I was so scared, Adam. Like the
Hmm.
process really intimidated me. Everything about it. It felt like it was so legit. And, there were probably points where I could have said, let's insert more of my weird into this.
Yeah.
However, it's a rock solid book. And it's a
Mm.
book that I am very proud of as like a debut.
So are you?
And
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
oh
Are
yeah,
you saying
yeah,
that
yeah.
you could put more of your like yourself into the book? Like it's not completely like the way that you are, like who you are, like how you be showing up. Like you could be even
Yeah.
more aggressive into that, but they
I
they like lower you down a little bit to make it not that crazy, so it's like actually land better.
That was what the experience was for this one, which makes
Ooh. Okay.
sense
Okay.
for a
Okay.
debut. Now, I
Yeah.
do have a very chill side. So when
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
work with my clients, they all say, like, oh, you're so chill. You're just calm. You're
Mm-hmm.
always just like very like, I'm polished here. I've got this. Yes, I've got this
Yeah.
goofy, unhinged side, but that's not for clients. So that book was a very good representation of almost that side of the business. And
Interesting.
then in the education side, feel like I get more goofy and unhinged. And then me as a person, it's a mixed bag. You don't know what you're going to get on any
Mm-hmm.
given day. But that right there, I don't regret
Mm-hmm.
having done more of the like stable and chill, calm version. But I almost want to write its second book, which is called Unhinged. And then we talk more about like the rest of it or something like that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really good. That's really good. Yeah, I think this. Yeah,
Maybe
uh,
I will. I
yeah,
keep
hundred
saying it, but
percent.
we'll
You
see.
should do something like that because, like, when it comes to that's interesting. We are all in my like what I'm thinking when it comes to what you just said is like people sometimes may not be ready to like to take you completely who you are, right? Because that's how we are programmed since our young age, right? We are just literally you have to be this way, and if you go completely crazy, you probably like completely crazy. We are all crazy. I don't, you know what I mean? Like I'm not like I'm not. Yeah,
Seriously,
you know
own
what I
it.
mean. Yeah, just no offense, like literally I'm telling I'm crazy too, like completely, like I don't freaking care. But that was the point where I had to
Mm,
go through that process to actually do
yeah,
not care, because like when I started this interview I was completely like, I don't know what to say.
you
Can I say this?
totally
Or
got
yeah,
on that. Oh my
crazy.
gosh.
Yeah, I was so like, I would say even about myself, like I don't know. Okay, I don't know if I believe in like those, introvert and extrovert type of thing. Like
Yeah.
Well, there is maybe something into it,
Hmm.
like up to some extent, but it's all about training anyway. You have to push yourself, like you have to put yourself there, right?
Yes.
Not push yourself. That would be like, yeah, you're trying to force you out there. The beginning is anyway is like, when you are showing up, like I'm 100% certain that when you started, on social media, you weren't just that way, like, being yourself.
Well,
Were you?
okay. No, 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 no.
Okay.
Okay, I want to say this. So when I got on the scene 11 years ago as like a newbie trying to make it, I looked at all of the people who I don't even know how to explain them. I mean, the Titans. And I remembered being like, oh my gosh. And this is not like I was in awe of them. I looked at, Amy Porterfield and Marie Forleo and Jasmine Starr and Jenna Kutcher, and I was like, they have their lives together. I'm
Hmm.
never going to have my life together. I'm more of a goof, like in a big way. Do you know what I mean? Or at least from what I see online.
Okay,
I don't
so when
actually
you
know.
say live together, what do you mean by that actually? Like, what do you mean? And then let's make the
Yeah.
differences, like how those people are
Okay.
actually like. What do you mean by that?
Okay. So let me real fast set the stage here. I don't actually know any of those four women in person outside of the internet world.
Hmm.
So there is nothing about this that is a comparison to them. I want to just make this super clear, especially right now. Um, I don't know them. I'd love to know them, but I don't know them. So what I'm comparing to right now is my perception of them when I started. To me, their lives looked like everything is designed and aesthetic and everything's so on purpose and it's intentional and they take their time and it's scripted. And then I was like, and hello everyone. And I don't know all of their stories, but I came from a story of like violence and
Hmm.
addiction and early deaths and suicides and mental illness. And I have mental illness. And I was just like, I don't know how I'm ever going to be able to compete if that's the standard. At least that's what my
Wow.
perception was. I'm not somebody who ever is going to have every facet of my life put together. I like weird
Hmm.
things. I even like broken things. I like mismatched things. To me, they tell stories. And I
Hmm.
guess I didn't realize that I could just bring my voice to the mix and some people would see that and be like, I need a little bit of that variety in my life. I thought everyone was just wanting the consistent or the stable. Meanwhile, my husband Paul, he's like very consistent, very stable, and every so often he'll be like, "That's such a boring archetype." And I'm like, "Do
Hmm.
you know what I would give to feel boring for like a second?" I don't know what
Hmm.
that's like. I only know too much or annoying or whatever. So the grass is always greener. And I'm sure, meanwhile, each of those women and every Titan has the people that they look at and they're like, how did they do it? Oh, their life must be wonderful. And then now is when I'm realizing, oh, we're all saying that. We're all looking at someone else saying that must be so nice. And we're all doing pretty great. So, yeah.
I see that you are like people. It's very interesting because like when I'm talking to people and see um what they are interested in, like what they are really passionate about, and then there are people that are completely like you know forget passion. This is not what's going to bring you money at all. Like you're never gonna do what you are passionate about because every piece of business, or if you are doing if you are in a business or so on, you're trying to make all money online, it's pretty much there is always something that's going to be like uncomfortable, something that you don't like, because like business itself, there is a lot of skills that you have to be good at to actually make money and so on. Like, and it seems like that you are attracted, or you like the opposite of you, so that's why like your partner is like calmer, probably like steady and this type of thing, and you are like and but that's creating the beautiful harmony, you know what I mean, and that's why you are good together, and you have like a great relationship, because that's like, yeah. I don't know, what about your kids now? Like, how many kids do you have actually?
I have three. They're home today. I have three kids. They are 14 almost. Well, no, just 14 now. 14, we've got 11, and we've got 7. So two
Uh-huh.
girls and a boy. The boy is the baby.
Right, right. You're not
Yeah.
really, you are not really presenting them on social media and so on. Is there a reason why?
Hmm. Yes, there are a few reasons why. I'll go with like the most, the most ones that people can relate to. Some are
Uh-huh.
more specific to my childhood. Um, I'll share that one too. The one from my childhood, because my parents were in leadership positions, very visible.
Uh-huh.
The church actually that my dad was connected with, or the organization, it's called a ministry, was featured on Happy Shiny People, which is the show about cults. That was my
Okay,
dad's one.
that's
So
interesting. Okay.
fiction book material. But there was a lot of pressure. I was the oldest of 3 girls. There was a lot of pressure to make my parents look good. So whether it was
Mm,
I was brought on stage to sing a song for the congregation, or asked to share a Bible verse or a testimony, or just stand and smile, like there was a lot of that happened, almost like it's almost like political, political children, how they have to just stand and they may not agree with everything. um, and I didn't, the big thing I want my kids to do is I want their journeys to be theirs.
yeah,
If
yeah.
whether they love me or like my mom is the most annoying person when they grow up, either way, I want them to be able to establish as people who are different, because they are different than me, all of them in different ways. And so that's one piece of it. Like, you get to create your own journey. You can't make me look bad. That's your journey, Like, let's keep figuring that out. Also, I don't want to make you look bad either. But
Oh man,
but
that's yeah. Don't worry about it.
and then
I don't really care how I look or whatever. If like I like heavy connecting and hanging out with amazing people, so you good. Don't worry.
yeah,
Like
I
let's do some. Let's make some fire here.
as well is so when I started bringing my kids into a few of the videos, it was 2019 and 2018 through 2020. I had the kids in like videos and in my photos, and TikTok was where the videos came in. And
Right.
then people started commenting on my kids' appearances and making assumptions about their personalities. And I was like, nope, stop, nope, we're done, 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 done. And we
Hmm.
pulled the plug and just removed them completely. And that's actually brought so much peace, because I'm not
Hmm.
sitting there like I'm about to fight these people, because I go
Yeah.
very mama bear over my kids. It just made it so easy. But my kids are so cool. The world's going to know all 3 of them in different ways. And they are so, mm, just such good people. Do you know what I
Love
mean?
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
love it,
they're cool.
100%.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I love to hear that um, what you just said, because from okay, like this is too personal, that I'm gonna what I may share. But when I was raised,
Hmm.
my parents never really told me they love me. I never heard of them from them and so on. So I really like, this is you saying it and you are proud of their, your kids and so on. This makes you being even stronger. And like I love it because that's what I want to change in my, with my relationship and so on.
Yeah.
So yeah, my childhood was tough, really. Like I spent more of my time with my grandparents than with my parents, and um but yeah, I can change it. I can no well I can change the past, but I can change the future. So that's why is one of the reasons, like, why I'm doing all of it. And being want to be present, wants to help, any way possible, give them, set them for the future, set them for whatever they want to do, not what they have to do, and so on. And when we are talking about, you know that and what is happening in this world and so on, when it comes to those brainwashing ways how we've been literally raised and so on, what is the biggest one that you see in your world and your expertise and so on. So people believe, and they are like that. It keeps them stuck in that rat race, or like in that, emotions and so on.
Can I talk about one that's actually a little different than other people might share? Okay,
100%.
so 3 years ago was a very defining point, and it was the last year that I finally feel like we worked through the cycles where I was like, what do we want to do now? Like, now we get to choose with our lives. What do we want to do on a different level? There's a lot of this is how you have to do things in business. Like, if you're still washing dishes, then you obviously aren't a CEO and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. And
Mm-hmm.
I just want to share, you can be a CEO and run your business and your life how you want, because my life actually came back online when I started washing the dishes next to my husband, or he washed them
Interesting.
and I dry them. We actually intentionally decided to no longer outsource our lives. So we do pickup. We don't have any childcare. They're a little older now, so it's a little easier. We do their activities. Paul packs their lunches in the morning. I cook dinners at night, or he quick pops one in the oven, just like a simple dinner.
Yep.
That was what brought back fulfillment, the
Nice. Mm-hmm.
mundane. And I was shocked. So it was, we've made enough, we've experienced what it is to not do it. And now I'm just like, I choose it and I love it. And I love when my daughter's
Mm-hmm.
like, Mom, can you, sew a hole, or sew this hole in my sock? And I'm like, yes. And I feel like that slow down and intentionality of being present, no matter where you're at financially, and falling in love with the process
Mm-hmm.
is what creates almost like the yellow brick road.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So when you say this, like how important is to fall in love with the process, because the process is not easy. I'm like, like having a successful business, running successfully business is not hard. Like it's simple, but it's hard that way. Okay, it's simple, but
Yeah.
it's simple,
It's not
but
easy.
it's complicated. It's not easy,
Yeah.
right? Because like if we would break it down completely, like what, and help people to figure, like to see like how, like what they actually need in, like for example, like really high level, like principle level based
Yeah.
um um kind of structure. What do you really need to be
Mhm.
successful in business? In my opinion, it's three things.
Let me hear them.
First one is traffic, second one is sales conversion process, and the third one is offer. All of those three things brings, like literally makes money if
Hmm.
you are aligned with those three things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So when it comes to you know back to, anyway, back to that, how important is to fall in love with the process, actually doing it, right? That was just like, I just wanted to give them a little bit of more,
Yeah. No, I
information
love it.
about how business would be like, that really, like business is simple,
Yeah.
like simple is not, but
It's
it's
not
hard, but
easy.
you really need only those three things. So when it comes to the falling in love with the, with the way of actually
Yeah.
implementing, how important it is to actually be in love with it.
You can do a lot without loving it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just going to say, like, we've all done it. Everyone has done things where you're like, I hate this. I hate this. I'm going to use just a comparison here. And if we go over, I'm fine with that, because this is, I'll just tell people they have to wait. Because I'm in love with this process right here. This is the moment. So okay, I hate hiking. Soon I will upload a video of us hiking, because Paul literally is like, we're at the top of this small mountain and he's like, here's Honolulu, it's beautiful, and here's Rachel, and I'm like this, and I'm so mad. I hiking, and I will always say yes if I'm invited. I will never plan it. I will never make it happen. I will always say yes on principle. I
Uh-huh.
hate it with a passion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If hiking is the way that I choose to get fit, how likely do you think it is that I'm going to get fit?
Right. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
I
Makes
also
sense.
hate
Yeah.
burpees, will not do them. I hate
Mm-hmm.
them. But I love power walking. I love dancing. I love lifting heavy weights. If you give me those options, I'm going to love the entire process. I literally will write on the treadmill on an incline walking. So I'll
Uh-huh.
sit there and just type and type and type, and I'm loving that I'm walking, or I'll record podcasts while I'm walking. So, what I
Mm-hmm.
did that really helped is I said, A, if I hate a process, is there a different way? I don't have to hike to get fit. I can find a way to walk or dance or, I don't know, do 50 push ups before bed. Find something
Mm-hmm.
or a way to do it that you like,
Mm-hmm.
or start with attaching it to something that isn't so bad. Like one thing I did, and this is just weird, I like gamifying things for myself, not for anyone else, but I'll like put a bowl of Jelly Bellies, the flavored jelly bean ones, and I'll put them next to me, and every time I finish a goal, I'll have one. So it's like I get a new dopamine
Interesting.
hit every
Okay.
single time I finish something.
That's
Or
powerful. Okay.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or like let's say there's a day where I'm really, really cranky. And I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like, I am so cranky. And I have those days for sure. I'm sure you do too. We all
Yep.
have
Yep.
days where you just wake up
100%.
and it's like
Yeah.
off. I will literally sometimes like have my husband drop me off a few miles from the house. And I'm like, you're going to drop me off. I'm going to walk home and I'm going to either like write this on my phone or get 10 videos ready on the walk home. So I give myself something I enjoy, no route to back out of, and time that has to pass anyways. And then right there, that like straight up, it like
Mm-hmm. Yep.
rewires parts of my brain to make it more enjoyable. Yeah. So I'm all about those types of things. And I'm not super good at pushing through things I hate, but I will if I can attach it to something I love.
Interesting. Oh,
There's one more I
that's
have to do.
yeah.
This one is one of my favorites. Do you guys have
Mm-hmm.
Perkins in the UK? I don't think you do. I have a few clients in the
Say that
UK.
again.
Do you have Perkins?
Perkins. Perkins.
You would know if you had Perkins.
I'm not
So
100% sure. Yeah.
Perkins is like our pancake house in like at least the Midwest in the
Mm-hmm.
US. So there's pancakes, breakfast, just like
Okay.
cheap food. It's like a diner. So I'll go to a diner. I have Paul drop me off so I can't leave on purpose. These are all games I play for myself. And I always sit by the kitchen so that the people are yelling and bustling and it's loud and a little unenjoyable. I throw in headphones, get into flow state. I'm seeing the people walking quickly. I order my bowl of loaded baked potato soup and I feel the internal pressure to get home fast. So I sit down with my to-do list of the things where it's like I didn't naturally love this task and
Mm-hmm.
suddenly I want to get it all done so I can call Paul, say I finished my list, come pick me up. So I do a lot of tricks of,
Ooh, that's
yeah,
okay.
those help.
This is gold because nobody's talking about this really,
Yeah.
like really. I haven't seen anybody talking about like how you can make yourself to do things that are uncomfortable or do something that is really important, because like for me also like it works when I set up like lots of people is talking about having like the plan B. For me it
Yes.
never worked, really. Like I had to
Mhm.
do only I have one plan. Like the plan is it's gonna go even like it's gonna work or it's not gonna work. And like the only way how it's not gonna work is just I'm gonna give up. So this is only two things. I'm not even thinking about another thing, like another way of doing it.
So my mind is the opposite. And I actually don't talk about this, which I
Mm-hmm.
love that we're talking about it. So my mind goes through every possible scenario to make sure that I'm picking what I agree with most. So,
Ooh, okay.
like, yeah. So, for example, if I fall in love with a house, I still need to check the rest of the houses on the market just to make sure, even if I am fully in love. I'm never I don't need to see one more. No, I need to see all options so I can pick the most aligned one. So, as much as possible, I almost feel like I do have plan Bs and Cs and Ds and E all the way
Yep.
through.
Yep.
So I need to be set into situations where the plan B isn't an option and it's let's
Mm-hmm.
focus on plan A and get it going. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
far, I haven't had to do too much of plan B, like
Okay.
plan A does
Yeah,
tend to work. Yeah.
yeah. Well, like in my opinion, everything works.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, the only way it's not working is because you gave up. Most of the people, they do not stick with the things that they supposed to do long enough to make it work, and that's the
Yeah.
biggest problem, right?
Yes. I was thinking about that the other day. I love this has been so fun. We've already passed over
I
almost an
know.
hour.
I was like, we have
What?
already like we are pretty
What?
much gone the whole hour. I was like, huh, hey, we should wrap up because you have your other stuff to do.
I know I am like, how long will I make my team wait? But I'm having so much fun. Okay, so um there's what was I gonna say? There's something else I do. What was
Plan
it?
B's
Plan
something like
is
when it comes to execution of your things that may actually like
oh yeah.
perf-
Um, just don't do things that you absolutely hate if you can avoid them. Find ways to, like, if you have to do 5 extra steps that you love, you will love the process. Like, even if
always
it's
find, yeah.
longer, like,
Okay,
go to the
like
path you love. Yeah.
always find a
Yeah.
way how to love the
Yeah.
process because you will enjoy it more and you will be
Huh?
exciting of for doing it. So it's not like those people who are, for example, are having struggles to wake up in the morning because they don't, they just they are not excited for what it's supposed to come. Because you are
Yes.
taking the process as a process, struggle process, and so on. So they are not like, yeah, ready to rock. Let's jump and let's move forward. But even though, like, yeah, I know that lots of people are driven with away from pain, but that's what's supposed to like kick you, kickstart the engine. But there has to be also the other thing, which is the bounty, basically, or whatever, like, that's gonna keep you going, right?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I just watched. So Alex Hermosi and I used to be buddies back when we were in Inner Circle together, and
Okay,
just
okay,
such a fun, great
we're gonna
person.
have another conversation, I'm telling you right now.
So I just watched his Tony interview, and something that what you just said just illuminated a part of my journey, and I see other people going through it. And it's that when like pain, hurt, underdog, fear, anger, revenge is your fuel, that
Mhm.
works for a long time. And the journey I'm in right now is what happens after you go through intensive healing and the pain and the anger and the hurt are gone. How do you then go? Because I woke up suddenly like I don't really feel the need to do anything because I feel whole. Well, that still isn't
Mm,
healthy. So
that's
it
not,
was
yeah.
how do you then, yeah, move towards, and here are the things I look for. These are the fuels that I know are aligned for me, and everyone should have their own lists, not mine, unless yours also align with mine. So creativity is big. Growth. I want truth. Even if it hurts, I want truth.
Mhm.
I want awareness. I want imagination. I want fun. I want that little twinkle in the eye, the thing you can't explain that feels like magic, not like
Mhm.
magician magic, more like alchemy.
Yeah.
Um, I want freedom to like be yourself. When it looks like those things, those are the right fuel for me after the healing. And that one took a while to get started back up into again
Mhm.
because the old hurt based fuel worked so well at him. Like it was crazy. And then all of a sudden one day I'm like, I'm not mad at anyone anymore. And I don't want revenge on anyone. And I just have love. And this doesn't feel like a competition. And I don't feel the need to play the game. And then I realized, oh, wait, I can use that to make it even just more fun and free and like just go for it. So I love,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, we could be here all day.
Yeah. Well, love it. Love it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you for being here. It was amazing to have you here, having the chat with you. And yeah, thank you, all of you guys, listening this and watching this interview. Really, really, really enjoyed talking to you, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity to talk again.
Love that. I
Amazing.
would
All right.
welcome it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. And we'll see you in the next episode. Bye, guys.